Okay, I think what is going to be important when you prepare for your credential exam
Mm-hmm.
is to look at the English version of the phrase. Are you
Oh,
using Are you using the Japanese
yeah,
translation?
basically Japanese. So, and then last time Yoko-san mentioned me, so I should check in English
English.
also. So, and then
Yes.
yeah, last time I checked some of questions which I couldn't understand the meaning of the details, and then especially I focusing the word, English word.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and then uh, sh- I think that I shouldn't なんで select something なんだstrong word
Mm.
and then yeah, so
Yeah, because I think the challenge is the translator who translated the words
mm,
uh might not translate it in the correct form in the English.
mm, mm,
Even if it's a professional translator, maybe they are not the answers that they're looking for and the thing may not be so correct. And because
mm,
once the translation is up, you have to go and select the English version, correct?
mm,
For the right inform. Yeah. So I think what is important is to look at the phrasing first and then going back there. For example, if you find that you read the Japanese words fast, you
mm,
read it, you read it first, and then after that go to the English one for the options.
mm.
So you understand what they're asking. So meet the scenario that they ask,
Ah,
yeah, you jump to the other one to kind of understand that.
let me confirm your meaning. So that read the questions in Japanese, and after that I should back to the English written, and then
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. So for example, right? I give you an example. Okay, so let's say this is the question, the scenario. Okay,
mm.
you read this whole scenario in Japanese.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, because maybe it's faster for you to read in Japanese. You just read. Okay, but then in the English part, okay, you read the options in English because
Mm,
yeah. So these four options you read it in English because these four options, the way we choose it is uh closest to the English words
mm,
than the Japanese word. So, for example, let's say I read this scenario in Japanese. Okay,
mm,
I read very fast. Da, 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 da. Okay,
mm, mm,
then what I want to do is I want to go back here and read the last line in English.
mm.
So that's the strategy, right? So I read all this very fast in Japanese, then I go back to the English version, read the last line in English. So
Yeah.
for example, here it says suddenly the client cries. Okay, so I got
Oh,
this one. Then the options I read all in English because these options have to be the same as the English expression that
oh,
is found in the competency. So I give an example. Okay, so let's say okay, hold on. Let's try with this scenario. Okay, let me just give you. Okay, so step one, read the scenario quickly in Japanese. Then
mm,
read the last one or two
oh,
sentence in the
oh,
scenario in English
English.
and read the options in English.
Mhm.
Okay, so that would be important. Okay, so I give you an example. So let's say okay, so let's say something like that. Okay, so so you have the Japanese scenario
Mm,
translation that pops up like that. So you da 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 da, you read very fast. Okay. Then what you want to do is you want to see words like this.
mm.
Okay. So let's say I see words like this. Okay. Suddenly, right? Suddenly something happened. Da, 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 da. Okay. So if I look at this, I go back to the English and see the phrase.
Mhm,
Yeah. I read that in English. Then I read these four options in English. Okay.
mm.
Because the Japanese version might not be the same as the ICF competencies. So the expression might not be so accurate. So for example, okay, let's practice this. Okay, you read this one very quickly. Okay, so just take 1 minute, read very quickly. Okay, you read already?
Yep.
Okay, then you read this line here. Suddenly,
Yep.
okay, and then you read these four options. Okay,
No
okay,
yet. No yet. No yet.
not yet.
Hi.
Okay, now what is the worst or best action?
Acknowledge か。
Which one do you think is the best?
C?
C? C is the best? Why would you say C is the best?
I found that word acknowledge.
Okay. Okay, so not just acknowledge, but you see, there are also other first. Okay, so the first step, when you look at the scenario, we ask the question. Okay, so after reading, okay, ask yourself which ICF core competency is the main one that is testing you. Okay, so for example, when you read this scenario, which competency do you think it's asking?
えーっと、これはコンピテンシー、あれ、4だっけlet me見て。コンピテンシー、
Based on this
4は、
4
4は 5?
Yeah, 4 or 5, right? So it could be 4 or it could be 5. So the word I want to look is all these words: pause, acknowledge, pause. Okay, which competency has more of the pause? It will be competency 5. So then I go to the ICF competency 5, and let's read this few things here. Remains focused, demonstrates curiosity, manage one's emotion, demonstrates confidence, comfortable, creates or allows space for pause, silence, reflection. Okay, so there you have the word pause there. So then when I go back, okay,
そういうことか。
I go back and see, okay, so there's pause. Pause.
Pause, okay.
Okay, so then I ask myself, acknowledge is also important, right? But pause for a moment, then ask the client to identify remaining plans they like to focus on today. If I do this, see, notice this part here, then ask the client, this one, it's dame, not good. Why? Because this is too focused on solutions, next steps. Okay. So if you think about this, the client is crying. So how can you just tell them, okay, identify the next steps? That means I didn't acknowledge the client. So if I look at this C and D looks quite close, right? But D has pause, then acknowledge that emotional impact the transition seem to have the client, and ask if they would like to spend some time on those feelings. So now you got more things here. Pause, acknowledge, and then ask if they want to spend some time. So this one becomes the best, right?
Yes, yeah.
Why? Because if I go back here, fully conscious, okay, demonstrates confidence in working client with strong emotions. What is strong emotions? So strong emotions could be crying, anger. So I want to give the client some space to open up. Yeah, so that's where I'll go inside. So these are the phrase that I'll look at. Then when I go back here, so the best action then will be okay. So I'll go in D looks like the best action. Okay, then what is the worst? What is the worst?
Oh, um, A.
A. Okay, why A is the worst?
Uh,
Okay, so remember that the worst also same thing. We ask which competency is testing us. It's testing a competency 5.
mm,
Okay, 4 or 5. So if the answer is not 4 or 5, that will be the worst. So option A is what competency?
あ、そうか。はい。I see. Mm-hmm.
Option A is like competency 3, competency 8. Correct? Like what you're focused on today. So it's 3. Okay. But
Mm,
if
mm,
you if you think about this, the client is crying, and then you ask the client what you focus on today. Then they're not very good because no empathy with the client,
mm, mm,
or no empathy with the client. So therefore, A is the worst because why A is the worst? Because one, it's focusing on other competencies
mm, mm,
rather than in the moment, which is responding to the client's cry or emotion. Right. So although A is okay, but in this context it cannot be okay because the client is crying.
mm, mm,
Yeah. So that's how we kind of evaluate, right? What's the client doing? Is it okay, not okay?
mm.
Okay. Any questions?
Mm, no, so far. So, but I'm just concerning about the speed of reading in English.
No worries, no worries. So the thing you want to do is that's why you read the scenario, everything here in Japanese
Yeah.
first,
Yes. Yeah.
and then focus on the last two sentences in English and focus
Yes.
on this in English.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, because you know you see if I read this in Japanese,
Yeah. Mm,
right? Okay, here there's a pause,
mm,
right? And then this is just acknowledging the client. Okay, so and then there's some feelings here. So when I look at this, it might confuse me between this or this.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I need to read fully.
Mm,
Yeah. Okay. So when I look at this, I say, okay, if if the answers is about pausing, if it's about giving the client space, if it's about giving the client time to reflect, then that's the correct one.
mm,
Okay. So that's why D is the one.
I see.
So if you find that if you can read all this very, very fast,
Mm-hmm.
and you go back here, you read the English one, and then
Mm-hmm.
you recall um what you read before that, that will help you. Okay, so for example, what you want to do is not to read the competency in Japanese because the Japanese version is wrong. The one from the ICF Japan chapter, the translation is wrong.
そうか。I see.
So that one, um, because it was translated by someone in the chapter, but his understanding of the competency may not be the same as the English expression.
Mm,
Yeah. So then when you do the exam, if you read his expression and you read the exam translation in Japanese words, it may be different.
I
Yeah.
see.
Because it's two different translators translating. Right. One is the one for the competency, one is for the exam. So when you read the phrasing, it may be different. So my recommendation is if you struggle with it, is to read it in Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
No, sorry, read it in
English.
English. Yeah,
Mm,
read it in English. Right. So what you want to do is you go through all this, the competence in English, see how they phrase. For example, they say things like demonstrates personal integrity. Okay, good. Sensitive. Okay, so this is what I say. Maintains. Okay. Then when I read competency two, it says words like remains aware, okay, ongoing learning. So I noticed the keywords, right? Acknowledging clients are responsible for their own choices.
mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the phrase acknowledge
Mm,
client. So if I read the answer and I think okay, this is about coaching mindset, and then I see a phrase that acknowledging client are responsible for their own choice. If I
mm,
see a phrase like this, Then I want to pause. I want to think, and I say, hey, okay, maybe there's something more. Then I pause a bit, think a bit, pause, think. Okay, is the phrase similar to this? Yes. Okay, then I'm. This may be the answer. You see,
mm,
even same for competency three. Uh, do I see words like partnering the client? Right. Competency four. Do I see words like acknowledging support the client's expression? Do I see the phrase acknowledging and respecting the client? Okay, so the thing about the English phrasing is I
mm,
notice the way it's phrased, and then I
mm,
go to the exam and see how it's phrased as well.
mm,
Yeah. So what I will do, I'll read through this document on the ICF competency in English, right?
mm,
See how it's phrased. Okay. It says here, notice, acknowledge, explore the emotion energy shift. Ah, okay. Then I go to the answer sheet. I go to the question and options, and I read and see whether do they have the same meaning. Okay,
mm,
then I read all this. Okay. Help identify factors that influence current and future patterns of thinking behavior. Okay, so there's some things here, right? And things like works with client to integrate new awareness, partner client, invites client. Okay, partners client to summarize learnings. So there's all these different words. So I want to be able to dive in deeper to
mm,
explore all this.
mm,
Okay. Okay, so that's how you read. Then, what you do in the code of ethics, same thing. In the code of ethics, you read the English version. Okay, so in the Google Classroom, you have both the English and Japanese version. Because you've already read the Japanese version, now you're gonna read the English version. The key thing about English version is read this one, the definition.
oh,
So see how ICF defines it. For example, conflict of interest. Okay, a situation where ICF profession involve multiple interests. Okay, or confidentiality, protection of information, or coaching, partnering with clients in a thought-provoking creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. Okay.
mm,
Then I read this one. So this part is important. From point one all the way to point 28. Okay, so in the code of ethics, I want to read all this to understand them. See how it phrased. See, for example, it says here, uh, maintain strictest levels of confidentiality with all parties. I'm aware of, agree to, comply with all applicable laws. Okay. Then if you read phrases like this, how to store. Okay, so read them how you store the information. Okay, so then I read all these things, respect the rights of clients, to terminate coaching relationship, sensitive to the client, aware. Okay, so what I'll do is I read and I see how they tend to phrase.
mm,
Mm. Okay, so the important thing is to see how they phrase in English. You can still read in Japanese, but
mm,
it's important to memorize the phrase that they use in English,
mm,
so that when you go to the exam, because the exam, the final choice will be in English, so you need to drag and drop the correct one in the correct box. So the way it's phrased usually it's a reflection of that, right? In the Japanese, and the same thing when we go through the class portal. If you remember the class portal, we had all this exam sample question.
yep,
Yeah. So you see how it's phrased and focus on the first eight, because the first eight, like this few, okay,
mm,
this few are the original few, or like this one, okay, this one. Okay, so this is the few of them, right? Okay, so this one, like this kind, question six, question seven, question eight, question nine, the earlier the at least the first 10, 12 questions. So if you see this one, a coach has worked with a client. Okay, so then, okay, so if I read this one, and I read the answers, acknowledge the client has growth and confidence. Okay, invite the client to identify challenge, suggest to client, ask the client. Okay, so acknowledge is important.
mm,
Invite, okay, then that's why A may be the best. Then I go into the answer. Okay, A is the best.
mm,
That's how I go back there, right? Then why D is the worst? Because D is suggesting, telling the client what to do. So I should not suggest.
mm,
So that's how I do it. Okay, so that is the ethics and the competency. You read them and see how they phrase in the English. You can also read the Japanese version, but always refer back to the English version so that you know how it's phrased in a way that your options have for you.
Mm.
Now, the other document I would encourage you to read is this one. Okay, so this one, it's standard 1 to 28. This is basically the ICF Code of Ethics. They explain more in detail here. For example, standard ones. What is standard? So the standard 1 to 28. What is 1 to 28? 1 to 28 is from this part here. Ethical standards 1 all the way to 28. So each one of these in the ICF website, they further explain here, right? So they further explain, they say, okay, for point one, standard one, what does it mean by ensure meeting before meeting the client's sponsor? Okay, then I read the English phrasing. Da, 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 da. Da. Okay, so if you find that reading this is very difficult in English,
Mm.
you can read the Japanese
Mm.
translation. Then come back to read the English because it's
Mm.
important to see how they phrase in English.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, yeah, because the test is developed in English, so it's always good to kind of read here. See, notice. So every one of the standard one, two, three, four, five, right? Take a moment to read through. Okay, so read through so you understand all the competency and see and read how they phrase it. Right. So all the standards you read how they phrase it. This. Then as you read them, it becomes clearer for you. Okay, I've posted this also in the here. Okay, under the code of ethics here.
Ah, so good. I see.
Okay, so you can read this one. The link is directly here, so you can read this later on. Okay, to prepare for your test. Okay, so good. So let's review again. The first thing, okay, you read
Ah,
the sentence.
sorry. So
Yeah,
let me find the ICF
code of ethics.
code of ethics. So in English is part of this classroom.
Yeah, English is all in the classroom. Everything's in the classroom. So if you remember, we had all this thing here, coaching
Uh,
learning resource.
Learning resources. Yeah.
Okay, so
ICF.
ICF code of ethics, English Japanese version.
Ah,
Uh,
okay.
Same, the core competencies, English, Japanese version, all here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And then if you have time, try to read all this as well, right? Which is if you have time, right?
Mm.
Yeah, because this one will give you an understanding of how they tend to phrase the wordings in English. Yeah, because at the end the I don't because I cannot see the way they phrase in Japanese. I cannot tell you whether what is the best way. And because of ethical reasons, they don't allow us to review their translation. So so my recommendation is to kind of read the competency, the code of ethics, uh the competency in English, see how they phrase it,
Mm.
and then what you want to do also, I've also posted this one, the insights one, which is uh, from the ICF website, all the different details. Okay. And then you relook at the exam questions in terms
Mm.
of the way it's phrased in English.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay.
And that way you prepare you better for the test. So the key thing is, if I come back to this area here, is to look at the way it's phrased, right? See how they phrase, then you know it, then it becomes very, very clear how they phrase, what do they say. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah. So it's here. I give another example here. All these examples are in the Google Classroom anyway. I just copied from the Google Classroom. Yeah. So you
Mm.
see, they will say a lot of things. Okay, so you don't have to read too much in detail. Read maybe the top all the way to the bottom in Japanese, and then you find that the last part here,
Mm.
okay, then read it in English. Okay, so because the last part is the key question. Yeah, so while the client has little to say to the coach in the moment, the entries show deep reflection. Okay, so then I got the four options. I read it in English. Okay, read like this. What does it mean? What does it mean? Okay, so then I read like that.
Mm.
Okay, so that will help me much better.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions so far?
Mm. Yeah. Mm. Not so far, but probably I have test several times using this method you mentioned. So and then yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm. Yeah, actually, I always do everything in Japanese. So and then, yeah.
Yeah. So you want to try the one in English because I think
Mm,
maybe it could be the Japanese translation wasn't so good.
mm,
So when maybe when they translate into the Japanese, the version may not be so accurate. So I will encourage you, since you have time, right? Your
yeah.
exam is when is your exam? In August.
August.
August, yeah,
Mm,
17th. Yeah, so you have about 2 weeks to prepare,
mm,
so which is okay. So you can read the one in English.
mm,
Just remember how they phrase, how do they say certain things, like, and then you read the English version. So in the exam, when you read English, you cannot understand. You look at the Japanese and go back to the English again.
mm,
But the main one you want to read is the English version, how they express. If you find two answers very very close, what you can do is you can read the English and then you break it down a little bit by little bit, right?
mm,
So a little bit like what we did earlier when we noticed, like, C and D look similar, but when
mm,
when I read carefully, okay, acknowledge, and okay, then here acknowledge and ask, okay, so more open, so D will be the best answer. So sometimes two answers can be very close, but
mm,
I want to pause, think about it, and then answer it.
mm.
Hmm. Okay.
In this case, you mentioned so you choose the letter B, letter D, so and then acknowledge and how should I say? Sorry, so let me confirm that if there are the nearly answers, so how should I
If,
choose?
if you if you have two very close answers,
Mm-hmm.
you read them carefully.
Ah,
So I read the first part. Acknowledge. Okay, there's also acknowledge here,
mm.
right? But here says that emotional response are normal. Now,
uh,
so not so good, because I'm just telling you that, oh, it's okay to feel stress. It's okay to
uh,
feel
uh,
this.
uh,
I didn't ask you. So we must always go back to open questions, pause, ask them. Do not just judge them. Because if
mm,
I say, if I tell, okay, so for example, if you are this client and I said, oh, Makoto-san, I know you have tried the exam for 4 times. It's normal. It's
mm,
normal. Then I never acknowledge you.
mm,
But if I ask you, hey, Makoto-san, can you, how are you feeling right now?
mm, mm,
So then that will be the answer.
mm,
Okay, then
mm,
that's
mm.
answer D.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you can put yourself in the client's shoe and feel the answer and see
Oh,
whether it makes sense to you.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
You mean that so if I find that the very close answer, so I should read deeply, even though it uh I should deeply the two answers and then I have to なんだ judge
Judge, yes.
from the meaning of details.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and then how you judge is based on your competency that you remember, right?
Mm-mm.
Which is
Yeah.
how the competency is phrased, what do they say in the competency,
Mm-mm.
what are the typical choice of words that they use. I think that would be important.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Any questions so far?
No questions, so but I'm really concerned about the time,
Do
totally
we
time. So,
so you have about 2 minutes per question. So that's why I say don't read too much into the scenario.
mm,
Focus more on the question. What's the question asking you?
ah,
And then focus on the options, because actually if you don't read the scenario, you just read the options, you can also kind of understand,
mm,
right? Yeah, so read the options. So if you have no time, read the options first, right? Then you see, oh, pause is on. Okay, so then at the back of your mind, you know that roughly, it sounds like maybe D could be the correct answer, or C could be the correct answer, just based on the options.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
so you read the options first. If you find
Mm,
that you have not enough time, always read the options first. Don't be too quick to rush through the thing.
okay,
Okay. Yeah.
okay. I got it.
Eh, yeah, important to do that so that you don't feel too stressed about the whole
Mhm.
process.
Nice. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Any, yeah. Any questions so far? How are you feeling?
Mm, feeling. Yeah. So next time I'm going to try new method. So
Yes.
like this. So and then yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I would say try this method, right? Don't need to read the whole question if you find that if not no time.
Mm.
Yeah, do it one step at a time, and then you'll be okay. Yep.
Sorry. What did you say? The last one.
So don't need to worry to read the whole scenario, because
Uh,
sometimes the scenario, like so many words,
mm,
can be
yeah.
very, yeah, can be too many words, can be
Mm,
quite stressful. So you can always read the first one, and then after that, see the rest.
mm, mm,
Mm.
mm. Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, so here, I've written some methods of doing this, but the easy one is actually do like what I just said. Read the scenario quickly, read the English, go through the competencies, right? Read through this one, see how it's phrased in English, read the code of ethics, see how it's phrased in English, read the ICF core competencies, see how it's phrased in English,
Mm,
see what they say, right? So how they say, how they usually use the words. Works with client. Okay, support the client, celebrate the client progress. Okay, so if I see this is the way they phrase
mm,
in the exam, I try to look for these phrases.
mm-hmm.
Mhm. Okay, so you see, for example, here it says acknowledge supports client autonomy.
Mm, mm,
Okay, supports client identify potential results. Okay, invites client to consider how to move forward. Okay, so and then I see the words like partner with client to
mm,
transform learnings into insights, promotes autonomy. Okay, so I at the back of my mind, I just think about the way it's phrased, then
mm,
you'll be okay.
mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So good.
But so yeah. So I have one question. So the basically the worst answer is more difficult to than the best answer. So
It depends. It depends on how you answer. So, for example, the worst answer may be easy to answer. You just need to know what is the competency for that scenario.
so
Yeah. So that's why I ask you, which is the competency is this scenario testing you? There's only one competency. They will not test you more than one. So each scenario is only focusing on one competency. So if this
mm,
scenario is competency maybe 4 or 5, okay,
mm,
one of them, it will not be competency 8. So if
okay.
the best answer is competency 4 or 5, the
Mm,
worst answer is testing on competency 4 and 5. They will not test on other competency. So for
mm,
example, right, if we use the same scenario, option A is competency 3 or competency
mm,
8, right? But the best is actually 4 or 5. So then I know A is wrong
mm,
because I know this question is testing my competency 4 and 5. Yeah,
I see. I see.
yeah. Okay, so that's one way to not to prevent yourself from maybe getting too confused with all the different phrase.
Mm, mm, okay. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
good, good. Are you feeling better or feeling more stressed?
Yeah, feeling better. So, but yeah, I have to take a time to prep it. Prep
Yes,
this.
yes,
So,
yes. So find some time to read. Remember, very important. Read the English version. Once you're familiar, you're easy to read, and then it's going to be easy as well.
mm, mm,
They can read faster. Yeah.
mm, mm,
So, okay. So this is something you think about. Now, also there's some updates to the exam.
mm,
When you're taking the exam on the 17th, it's going to be the same. Nothing has changed. But if you're taking the exam later, suppose so if if you happen to take the exam again after 20th August, uh, okay. After 20th August, they will reduce the question by one. The no difference is just that from 41 questions, they become 39 questions. From 40 questions, become 39 questions. It's the same. It's just that you got a longer break. From 5 minute break to you have 10 minute break.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. But no difference. It's the same exam, but it's just that you have a longer break.
Mm.
Okay. But the key thing you want to focus on first is just to read the English version, so you're
Mhm.
familiar. Go through it, take your time, because anyway you have 2 weeks, so 2 weeks is good enough time for you to prepare, read through, think through, and then you should be okay.
Mhm. Okay.
Mm.
I see. I see.
Yep. So after you read through the English version, maybe you have answered the questions, right? Maybe you have other things, you have new answers you want to you want to ask or question. Just feel free to ask me as well.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. If not, I'll encourage you to go back to the Google Classroom. It has all the materials you need to prepare. Right, everything is all here.
Mhm.
All the resources that you need is all here. Right, the readings. Go through it. Watch the videos, and then you should be okay.
Okay.
Okay. Good. Good. Any questions so far?
No, no, I don't have any questions.
Mhm.
No. Yeah.
Feeling better? Feeling more confident?
Feeling better. Not yet confident, so but just do it. Just prepare the exam. Yeah,
Mm. Mm.
using new method. Yeah.
Yeah. I think once you try it, you should feel better, and then it will be it'll be easier for you.
Mm.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank you.
No
Thank you.
problem. Okay, so all the best. Let me know how it goes. If in these 2 weeks you have more questions, just let me know. We will be able to help you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, good. Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful evening. Please take some rest, and if you cannot sleep, just read the English version tonight. Yeah.
Uh, okay.
Okay. Okay. Then I catch you soon.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you.
See you.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.